In this video, I'm going to focus on Ghana's president. He's just been in office for 30 plus days, and the kind of moves that he's making is in line with what we've been preaching for the past 2 years, where Africans have gotten to the place where they want the continent to get better. We always said that it was going to take a couple of leaders on the continent to let this happen, and at some point, the only hope that we had was Ibrahim Traore. But Ibrahim Traore his movement is going to be restricted because of how he got into power. Even though he's the most praised and he has the biggest fans, it's going to be restricted in the name of democracy. But we don't care. He's our brother. We love him and we are happy for him. We're happy for the Sahel region in Africa. Thank you for joining me. If you like this movement, please like and subscribe. We're raising the Black consciousness. We're bringing news from the continent. We're bridging the gap. We're doing so many things when it comes to the betterment of the Black community worldwide. Last year, even though we had Ibrahim Traore and Sahel region as our heroes, in fact, it was looking very hopeless in my eyes when it comes to the progress of Africa getting better, Africa uniting. First of all, our ex-president was caught doing kokonsa on Ibrahim Traore. And those of you that are here that you don't understand what kokonsa is, gossiping about his neighboring country, which is Burkina Faso, to America. And I don't think that was a really good look, because Ghana has always been this beacon of hope for Africa. And I believe that spiritually, Ghana is known as the gateway of Africa. Ghana is the closest country to being the center of the world. So if Ghana is the gateway to Africa, one of the first countries that got their independence, Ghana had a leader at that time, which was Kwame Nkrumah, that helped other African countries to also gain independence. So everything be starting from Ghana. Right now, even when it comes to African Americans coming to the continent, Ghana seems to be most popular. Spiritually, Ghana being the gateway to Africa. Imagine the gate is closed. That means everything in Africa, the progress of Africa will be very slow. The embarrassing situation that was coming out of Ghana, in fact, I was losing a lot of hope. But we're going to talk about the now President Mahama and the kind of moves that he's making. It's as if he's been listening to us on social media. He's been listening to the youth. And when it comes to social media, it's not just Ghanaian. You are listening to African children. You are listening to Black people issues. You are listening to Black problems. The man is moving like he's listening to us, right? So in this video, I'm going to highlight, look, these past 30 days have been remarkable. I can't keep up with other news from the continent. I'm not being able to keep up because he's moving very, very fast. So first of all, this guy gets elected in power, and then he calls a committee called the Oral. The abbreviation Oral is Operation Recover or Loot. And because according to them, the predecessors had looted a lot of funds and taken things to another level. They got this committee and they formed Operation Recover or Loot to start going after some of the people that were in power in the previous administration. And the funny thing is that a lot of them have traveled outside the country. So Operation Recover or Loot started. But not just that. If I say I'm going to keep up with Mahama, first of all, he made certain promises. Cut down his ministers from 120 to 60. This was a promise that he made that he's cut down, just so that they could cut down expenses in governance, because right now there's no money. It seems like his mission is accountability and transparency. And those of you who watch my videos, I always start with, we've come into a time of accountability and transparency. But one thing that I noticed that I really, really liked was when he was first elected, he started to travel. It was only to African countries. His first month was just to African countries. You know, I believe that it's time that African leaders start looking within and start working with each other on how we are going to improve the life of the Black child. Because once they work together and they realize together what are our challenges together and how can we solve these challenges together, once we have that togetherness in our mind, because of those fake borders that were created, Africans, unfortunately, we don't see each other as one. I see you as someone from Ivory Coast, or I see you as someone from Kenya or Malawi. I don't see you as me. And that is what the borders and the lack of freedom of movement on the continent continent has created. So, these are some of the things that needs to be resolved. The people that put their borders, locked themselves in a room for 3 months or 6 months and divided our continent, our African leaders can get themselves in a room and patch everything together. The fact that he went to Kenya, the constitutional reform at the African Union, they are trying to reform their constitution, like again, to start working together as Africans. And then he made a statement there, like he had a speech, there was a speech and he made a statement and he said,
efficiency must be the guiding principle in how we conduct our affairs, ensuring that our policies and programs translate into real change for our people. We must adopt mechanisms that prioritize accountability, transparency, and value for money,
I'll just play them,
ensuring that every resource is maximized for the benefit of the African people.
I keep on hearing accountability and transparency to eradicate corruption in his statements. Tackling the infrastructure that's going to connect us together as Africans, like highways, railways, tackling that infrastructure is going to improve the logistics when it comes to intra-trade. Potentially, if they get this right, this is going to bring about $3 trillion trading of goods and services on the continent. The Africa Prosperity Dialogue. So let's listen to that.
And the African Continental Free Trade Area represents a game-changing opportunity for African businesses, entrepreneurs, and industries. We must invest in infrastructure to facilitate trade, efficient road, rail networks, ports, and digital connectivity. We must strengthen African supply chains to ensure that our industries produce goods and services that meet both regional and global standards. We must harmonize our trade policies to eliminate non-tariff barriers and reduce the cost of doing businesses across borders. We must fast-track the full operationalization of the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System to facilitate the payment for goods and services across our continent. If we commit to these actions, we can unlock a $3.4 trillion market, creating jobs and prosperity for millions of Africans across this continent.
Then he went to African Business Forum. I can't keep up with him. He's declared his assets publicly. Ideally, what they will do is they'll declare their assets privately to the Attorney General and all that. But this time, he's publicized his assets. This is new. Like, I'm so impressed, and it's bringing the hope back. It's just 30 days, so we can't get overly excited, but there is hope. Last but not least, he opened a national education forum where they are going to tackle the educational system. And ideally, they would study things in school that really has nothing to do with the progress of their society. For instance, you have kids learning the parts of a cockroach or the parts of a fly. All those things are not necessary when it comes to the actual problems that Africa is facing. So he's called a committee. It has to do with the teachers, parents, council bodies, and students, a body of people to come together to help reform our educational system, like bringing back morality, patriotism, and all these things that we've been discussing. But I'll do like a video and bring you guys on board and just keep you up to date as to what was going on in Ghana and why it's important for the continent of Africa. Once we get it right at the gate, it will trickle down to other African countries. Like rightfully said, independence was gotten at one place and then it started to spread. I'm hoping that change, and I believe that change has come, and I believe that hope has come back to the continent. We are highlighting the things that are happening on the continent. Those of us in the West and those of us on the other side have to also be kept abreast with what is going on in the continent, because it's time for us to do one leg, one leg. One leg is one leg on the continent, one leg on the West. If you like this movement, please like and subscribe. It helps the algorithm. My name is Koshi O, so Afritude is the movement. Thank you for joining me.